Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now a massive warning signal is flashing for Bitcoin, and this could be the last chance for Bitcoin to form this pattern in the short term, while Ethereum is still chopping around in this sideways price range, while Solana is rejecting further from this critical area of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before getting into the Bitcoin charts today, giving you a quick update on the Bitcoin ETFs, and on Tuesday, we didn't really see anything too significant. We saw a very small net outflow of around 15.7 million US dollars. And so obviously with this being a net outflow, it did contribute to some sell pressure on Tuesday, which is potentially one of the reasons why we saw some bearish price action. But ultimately a $15 million flow, whether it's an outflow or an inflow, $15 million is not going to have a huge impact on the price. And so with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts, this is on the monthly time frame. So each one of these candles is an entire month, just to give you a quick update and a quick refresher that Bitcoin is still currently within the larger bull market cycle in the halving cycles, because obviously it was only last month that we saw the fourth ever Bitcoin halving. And usually right around the Bitcoin halvings, we actually see some sort of consolidation, whether that's a short-term pullback or basically choppy sideways price action. But usually a few months after the halving, the price really starts heating up, and we continue on with a much larger bull market, massively further to the upside over the next 1 year approximately following the Bitcoin halving. And so as always, it is important to understand the difference between the different time frames. In the short term, that can change between bullish and bearish basically every single day. For example, if you're looking at the 1 hour chart or the 4 hour chart, today could be bearish, tomorrow could be bullish, the next day could be bearish. That can change all the time. But when we're zooming out, looking at the larger time frames, these larger trends and moves on the charts do not change direction very often. Obviously, we can stay in a bull market for a few years and then a bear market for an entire year. And so once again, it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. If you're just seeing the titles and thumbnails of these videos flip between bullish and bearish, perhaps that's just talking about the short term. But anyway, if we're taking a quick look at the 3-day Bitcoin chart, as of right now, obviously the price is still down from the all-time high, but technically speaking, we're still currently within a larger bullish trend on the larger time frames, also known as a bull market. And on top of that, we're actually seeing a potential hidden bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame, with higher lows in the price and lower lows in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI. And this lower low has already been confirmed in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI. So in order to invalidate this potential hidden bullish divergence, we would have to see a lower low in the price below this low right here, which is sitting at around $40,000. And so basically we do have a hidden bullish divergence here on the 3-day Bitcoin chart. And once again, this will only go away if you're thinking the price is going to go back into the 30K range. And a hidden bullish divergence usually is not as strong as a regular bullish divergence, but basically it works with the trend as a trend continuation pattern pointing in the bullish direction. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin chart, as of right now, the daily Bitcoin RSI is still trading above this descending line of resistance, which is a good sign to see. But as of right now, of course, it is pulling back in the short term with the latest pullback in the price, but it is not yet confirmed to break below this line right here. And so technically speaking, that breakout above this line of resistance is still active. And obviously these larger moves take weeks, if not multiple months to play out. And during those larger moves, we can see short-term pullbacks here and there. But if we're looking at the somewhat shorter term momentum in the market at the moment, this bullish momentum that we're seeing here in the daily Bitcoin MACD is starting to fall flat. And so first of all, around half a week ago, the daily Bitcoin MACD did indeed confirm a bullish crossover, with the histogram heading in the bullish direction, showing some short-term bullish momentum beginning to build up again. But so far, since that bullish crossover, the bullish momentum hasn't really been growing. It's just been kind of flat at the moment. And so basically, with a lack of bullish momentum at the moment, I would not necessarily expect an extreme bullish move straight to the upside like what we saw back here, for example, unless we start to see more momentum actually start building up again. But with that being said, technically speaking, just based on the MACD alone on the Bitcoin chart on the daily time frame, the MACD as of right now is currently looking more bullish than bearish. It's just not showing a lot of bullish momentum. But with that being said, if we're taking a look at the US dollar index, also known as the DXY on the daily time frame, as of right now, and as I said in my last video, this is flashing a warning signal with the DXY starting to bounce back to the upside. And since my last video on the channel, we continue to see a bit of a short-term pullback in the price of Bitcoin as expected. So once again, if you watched my last video, then you would have already seen that short-term pullback that played out since my last video, because the DXY has already been spiking back to the upside again. And so this will be very important to watch over the next few days, because basically if we see a further bounce back to the upside, and more importantly, if we break out above these highs right here in the DXY, that would be a strong bearish signal for Bitcoin. Because basically, if the DXY breaks out above these highs to confirm a new higher high, that would essentially confirm a trend continuation of this previous bullish trend in the DXY, which would basically confirm more of a trend continuation for this short-term bearish trend for Bitcoin. But on the other hand, if this bounce actually fails to go any further to the upside and fails to break out above these highs, and instead we're just playing out a bit of a bounce in more of a short-term bearish trend, then obviously that would be bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. So as always, I'll be sure to keep you up to date on what's happening here in the DXY and many other important charts in these videos every day. So make sure you subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, once again, as I just said, over the last one day, we saw a continued pullback to the downside. And as of right now, the price of Bitcoin is basically riding along this line of previous resistance, now acting as new support, which is currently sitting at around 62 to 62,500. But we also have this potential line right here, which if we're taking a look at these previous candle closes right here and this candle wick, then we potentially have a new line of resistance to pay attention to, also based on these candle closes. And so basically, if we see a further break to the downside below this solid line on the chart right here, then that would essentially invalidate this line on the chart as a line to pay attention to, because that would basically mean we've just seen a break above and then back below that line, invalidating that line. And so once again, if we start breaking back below around 62,000, which is where that line is currently sitting at, then we could potentially pay attention to this line of resistance, which means the price could still be forming the falling wedge pattern, but has not yet actually confirmed a proper breakout. But either way, as of right now, the price of Bitcoin is still potentially forming this inverse head and shoulders pattern on the 4-hour time frame, just in the much shorter term here. But as of right now, it is not yet complete or confirmed. Because in order to confirm this pattern, as I've said in recent videos here on the channel, we need to see a bounce back to the upside sometime soon over the next few days or so, back up towards this neckline, which is sitting at around 64.8k. And then we need to see a confirmed breakout above that neckline with candle closes above that level in order to confirm the bullish price target. And in that case, the bullish price target would be sitting at around 73.7k approximately. But once again, as of right now, that potential price target is not yet confirmed or in play, because we have not yet confirmed the breakout for this pattern. And as I said in the beginning of this video, this could potentially be the last chance for Bitcoin to form this pattern right here, because basically if we continue consolidating here in the short term over the next few days or so and fail to see that breakout in the next few days, or if we see a further pullback well below 61,000 over the next few days, then basically in those scenarios, that would invalidate the formation phase for this pattern, because in those cases, the right shoulder would become way too large compared to the left shoulder, invalidating the pattern altogether. And so once again, this is the last chance for Bitcoin just over the next couple of days or so to actually form this pattern right here. We really need to see a bounce sometime soon to complete this pattern. And as for my trading strategy right now, as I've said in recent videos here on the channel, and in fact, as I've been saying since all the way back down here, I've already accumulated a long position at much lower levels. And as of right now, I already have my stop loss sitting in decent profits well above my entry price. So even in the worst case scenario, if we just crash right now, that would trigger my stop loss in profits and close the trade automatically in profits. But basically, if we start to invalidate the formation phase for this pattern right here and see a further rejection on this chart, then like I said in my last video, if we start to see more of those signals, and especially if we start to see more of a bounce back to the upside here in the DXY, then if we start to see more of those short-term bearish signals, I may look to take just some profits out of that trade at these higher levels before even waiting to hit that stop loss. But either way, no matter what happens, once again, this is still a winning trade with the stop loss above my entry sitting in profits. And so if you also want to take trades just like this to make a lot of easy money in crypto, then make sure to check out this exchange, which I'm trading on right now, which is Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And in fact, if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive 200 USDT airdrop position, but you can only claim this position if you actually use the link down below this video to make a Bybit account. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see over the last one day, we exactly took out that lower level of liquidity that I've already been talking about over the last 3 days or so. First of all, that level of liquidity was sitting in between around 62.3k to 62.5k. And once again, as I've been saying for multiple days now on the channel, we're likely going to see a move to the downside first to take out that liquidity before potentially heading higher at some point later on. And so now that we've taken out that liquidity in the liquidation heat map, what are some other levels of liquidity to watch out for? Well, first of all, we do actually have a new level of liquidity to the downside in the short term, sitting in between 60.9k to 61.1k. But the good news is we're finally starting to see some short-term liquidity actually start building up above the price, mainly sitting at around 65.9k to 66k. But as I've also said recently here on the channel, if we're zooming out to a larger time frame in the liquidation heat map, we can see much larger levels of liquidity to the upside. For example, mainly sitting at around 67,500, we have billions of dollars of liquidity at around 67,500. And so when the price of Bitcoin eventually crosses above that level, that could potentially trigger a major short squeeze further to the upside, but once again, only once we actually cross above that level. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates across multiple exchanges right now, a lot of the funding rates are actually returned back to neutral. They're sitting at relatively neutral levels, with a lot of the funding rates in the token margined section actually still sitting in negative territory. And so overall, the funding rates are actually looking relatively neutral at the moment, so there's not too much to say on the funding rates as of right now. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, as of right now, the price of ETH is still trading in between this support and this resistance. First of all, this support is currently sitting at around 28.60, and this resistance is sitting at around 33.20. And so right now, the price is potentially still forming this massive falling wedge pattern, basically in a short-term bearish trend. And if we're taking a look at the 12-hour time frame, just in the shorter term here, the price is basically in a bit of a sideways consolidation, chopping around sideways during this pullback. And the main areas of support and resistance to pay attention to in this sideways price range are, first of all, this support range is sitting in between around 28.50 to 29.50. This area of resistance is sitting in between around 3.2k to 32.50. And we also have another level of resistance closer towards 33.50. And so essentially just in the short term, and as I've been saying in recent videos here on the channel, the price of ETH is basically just in a choppy sideways price range, chopping around sideways. But believe it or not, this is a gold mine in crypto. You can make a lot of easy profits in choppy sideways price action just like this, basically automatically as passive income. And so if you want to know how to do that for yourself, basically making a lot of easy profits in choppy sideways price action, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But first, giving you a quick update on the price of Solana, and as of right now, Solana is still pulling back from a rejection from this critical area of resistance. First of all, this area of resistance is sitting in between 150 to 155, and we also have a level of resistance at around 160 and more resistance in between 167 to 172. And as for short-term support, we're currently finding some short-term support at around 145, like I said in my last video. But if we start breaking below 145, then in that case, we should find some support at around 140. And below 140, we have major support in this range in between 120 to 128. And this bullish divergence for the price of Solana is potentially starting to wear off, considering the price is still struggling around this area of resistance. And especially if we start to see some lower lows or lower highs form in the RSI, if we start to see something like that in the RSI, then that can start to invalidate this bullish divergence. But ultimately, at the moment, the price is just somewhat struggling around resistance and lacking momentum, like a lot of the crypto market at the moment. We're just simply lacking momentum in the short term. But either way, if you want to trade these moves, no matter what direction the price goes, check out those links down below this video. And if you want to know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.